Hello guys, welcome back to the shop. We got a wood splitter. Let's see if I can get you a good view of it. It is ancient and it is really must have been the cheapest one they ever made. I don't see a filter anywhere. Generally there's a some kind of filter on these things that filters your hydraulic fluid. They ain't got one. The boom here functions as the hydraulic tank, which is actually fairly normal. But talk about your bad designs. It's got this vent cap right down here, just pulls out. And when it came over, there was a screw screwed into this. I'm sure there's meant to be more pieces to that. This thing, it had a screw right in the hole here. And I'm sure there's meant to be more to that than this, but it doesn't have it. So when you fill this thing up with fluid and then you pick that boom up to walk it around somewhere, if you get it more than an inch off the ground, well, you're going to have fluid shoot out of that hole like a water gun. That ain't good. But the reason it was brought to me was that he said, when you started to crush a log with it, it would blow the cap off and be shooting fluid out. Now, if it's shooting fluid up out of that hole, there could be a few reasons for that, I guess, but the one that stuck in my mind was maybe the pump's cavitating, maybe not got enough fluid, or maybe the fluid has some water in it, or maybe it goes on from there. Maybe it's just old fluid needs changed. Well, it looked pretty low to me, so I added some fluid. And it was still kind of hitching and lurching a little. But the thing is it was running, but it was only running with the choke most of the way on. Then it's been setting with gas, and the carburetor, the gas valve was turned on. Somebody's re-engined this with a Predator. I guess that's, if you know anything about engines, that was probably the first thing you noticed. But so the float's stuck. I'm not sure that it was stuck when I first started it, but I'm sure there was chunks of stuff in there that stuck it. The gas older than I am. And it didn't run right before, now it don't run at all. And it filled the crankcase up with gasoline, because that's what happens when you don't turn the gas off for probably years. I'm going to say this thing ain't been running in a while, because the gas is orange. It's not my favorite color of gas. So we're going to have to drain the gas. We're going to have to do something with the carburetor. I was going to clean the carburetor, but then it kind of occurred to me. Let me get you up here a little closer. That might be okay. We'll figure it out. Get this. What do you do here? Oh, there it is. Get this off of here. Oh my God, would you look at the quality filter they used to put on these? They may still put these on them, honestly. I don't know. But one little block of foam, that's what you get. That's not too hot. And get the carburetor out here. Is that seriously flat top screws? I don't know. That's the screws it came with. Those look more like wood screws, honestly. We need to get the carburetor out, because one way or another it's coming off, because it is non-functional. I drained the gas oil mix out of it. I haven't put anything back in it yet. We'll wait on that. But I got thinking about that. I better make a video out of this one. I have the fuel lever turned off. I may just replace this carburetor. You can get these Harbor Freights as pull-offs dirt cheap on eBay, because what happens is people will buy a Harbor Freight engine and then turn around and put some Mikuni or some kind of ridiculous carburetor on, because they're not using them for their intended purpose. They're putting these things on go-karts and hopping them up. This is only supposed to be like 6.5 horsepower, but you can get 13, 14, even more out of these if you start jerking around with these, up the cam a little and better heads and changing out the pistons. The only thing that's really original on the really hot ones is the block, and a lot of times they've modified it as well. But for our purposes, we need a carburetor, and thankfully they're generally available dirt cheap as pull-offs that haven't even been run, or if they were, they run for 5 minutes to make sure the engine worked, and then they pull them out and put their own hopped up carburetor on it. So We're going to probably replace that carburetor because the kit is going to cost more than a pull-off new carburetor will on eBay. Let me do some research here and get a carburetor coming, because honestly, I think it is a foolish move to try and fix this one. We do need to drain the gas. We'll get to that. I've got it turned off so it can't hurt anything. Let's see. I was going to look and see if fuel line was any good, but I don't even see it. I mean, I know it's there. What else can we do with it? Really nothing. At this point, what are you? I got a little, like a twisty here, holding this hose for this, I don't know, some kind of vapor gathering EPA nonsense. Here's a sticker falling off. Predator engines. Yeah, well, we knew that at first glance. Okay, that's what we're going to do. Let me research a carburetor for this. It'd be smarter, quicker, easier, and better to just replace that whole carburetor with one with 0 hours than it would be to try and fix that one. If that fails, if I don't find one cheap enough to suit me, well, then we'll try to take it apart and clean it. I fear that, because if I take it apart and one of them little rubber seals like the bowl seal or something is all turned to smush, you're still buying a kit, and you were still better off buying a carburetor. But I think I can get one cheap. Let me get on eBay and see what I can scare up. Okay, it's been, I don't know, a week and a half or so. Snow has been seriously messing with me. It's finally letting up. I got a carburetor here to put on that brand new one. This is this carburetor's messed up, basically. Crankcase was completely full of oil. We're gonna need a ratchet. Let me get into my toolkit here. Let's see, what do we need? About a 10 millimeter probably. Might be smaller than that. No, 10's good. Alright. I'm gonna have to take this air cleaner adapter off of here too. Let's see, I'll set you over here. How am I gonna do this so that I'm not in my own way? There we go. Alright. Let's flip that switch. Get these little nuts loose. There's one on each side. Now we got other problems too. This tank's got a bunch of gas in it, and that gas is shot. Probably part of why the carburetor messed up. The other part was the fuel was left on. And you can't count on that float to hold it back forever. It'll evaporate, the float will go down, opening the valve, filling the carburetor back up with gas, float goes up. But every time it evaporates, it leaves a little something behind. After it does that several times, it can't really do that anymore. And something bad's going to happen. And it did. Okay, I don't actually need a Phillips screwdriver. I thought I was going to. Let's take that over here. I believe this will come right out of here. Well, I believe. Something's holding me. Vent tubes. Got one for the, I don't know, kind of like a PCV, but less useful. That one. Okay, and then we got one from the fuel tank, even less useful than the PCV. Actually, PCV is kind of useful. Keeping a vacuum on the crankcase is a good thing, prevents leaks. And those fumes that it's sucking out of there are a little corrosive. They're not the best thing for the engine. Now we got the carburetor. The choke on these really is kind of crap, but that's how they do it. Got a new choke lever. I don't know that the old one isn't better. Probably reuse it. Take it off for now. Set it aside. Now we got one last problem. When I disconnect that fuel line, that fuel's rushing out because the fuel shutoff is built into the carburetor. This gasket is wet. Like, seriously, wet. And it's not really a gasket. It's metal. Figure that one out. Doesn't really matter because that's the one to the air cleaner. The gasket behind this carburetor that's clearly not well adhered, Normally you got to fight them loose. This thing's just flopping in the breeze. That's the one that's important to seal. All right. Well, I got a squeeze valve, or a squeeze clamp, I mean. That's going to be a devil. Let me get a pair of pliers here. I'll be right back. All right, I got me a gas can. Got some pliers. Because what I'm going to have to do is take this line off and then straight into this can with it. Which means I got to get that can in a place that I can move quick and get on it. So let's see if I can get that little clampy clamp off of there. Oh boy. Yeah. Yeah, that's a problem. That line is swelled as it can be. So in order to work on it, got to get it out of there. Gas is going to come running out of there no matter what I do, but I'm going to try to head it off at the pass a little. It's almost loose. Oh, okay, got it stopped. Stick it in the hole. All right, so that gas is going to drain in that gas can. Now, for my next trick, remove this throttle cable linkage here. This spring is not even connected. It's just in the breeze. Nice. Okay, we'll work on that later. I know where that goes. To get this linkage off, it's really quite easy. You turn the carburetor all the way closed, I guess. Yeah, all the way closed. The butterfly in the front there. And then you pull the carburetor out. You see how I'm turning it and then pulling it. And when you get it just the right spot, this will just lift right up out of the hole. So it won't really fall out of there by accident, but when you're trying to get it out, it's pretty easy. And this is the useless, gummed up, junked up carburetor. It might be cleanable. You need a kit, new gaskets and stuff. Well, new gaskets and stuff are about the same price as carburetor. So it's just a little bit foolish to go that route. Might just well get a carburetor. Cleaning it adds to the amount of work you do, but does not improve your situation when you're done. There's quite a little bit of gas in that tank, and ain't none of it any good. It's really bad, actually. All right, well, I'm at an impasse now because this fuel line goes... Oh, wait, no, I might get it out of there. There's a little plastic... I'm not sure what I want to call that. Spacer? Maybe? Right here. It is on there pretty good. Is there a gasket? Because if there's not a gasket on there, I'm going to be a little confused. And I say that because wood chips. There's not a gasket on the carburetor. Remember when I pulled it out, here's a shut off, the choke thingy, and here's the part I was turning, right? So that means this side here is the side that was attached. Nothing. Not a gasket to be found. Well, that's not good. Pretty sure this one came with the gasket. Here's carburetor and choke lever. I don't know if you can see it. Set that up here. Here's a new spacer, because what you need is yet another one of them, which I'm not going to fool with if I don't have to, because I don't think there's a thing wrong with that one. Oh, and looky there. Gaskets. Okay, then. Oh, and a piece of fuel line. Pinch me, I'm dreaming. That's good, because this fuel line does not fill me with confidence. It looks very swollen. And it's, oh yeah, it's stiffer than a teenager on prom night. That's going to be problems. It's got to go. I hope that's enough fuel line. Even if it isn't, I got other fuel line if I have to. But I kind of like to use what they send me because it saves me money. This thing's still piddling. I believe I'm going to have to let that drain for a while. It looks like it's going to take its sweet time. This isn't sealed or anything. I was going to say I'll open this up and let it vent a little bit. Those things are loose as a goose anyway. If you leave these outside, the gas or water getting that gas quick. Yeah, it ain't going to make any difference. Let me get this little Duma flatchet out of here if I can. See how it looks inside. How close to empty we're getting. Not even in the ballpark. Okay. Yeah, I'm going to let that trickle forever, apparently. And we'll come back, change out that fuel line, put a gasket on this. I think this is fine, and it feels like it's got one behind it. It ain't going nowhere. No wiggle at all. So we put a gasket here between the carburetor and this plastic gadget and go from there. But this is going to be clearly a while draining. It's kind of ridiculous, really. Just keep pedaling. All right, we'll be back. Well, I got bad news. Gas tank still got, I don't know, that much gas. And what's funny about that much gas is here's the line. It quit coming out. So there's junk in there. The line's messed up or something. I'm going to take that tank off. Joy, joy. Not many ways around it, though. So I'll have to unencumber this thing. And I just throw that stuff in there. And this, I'll throw that in there. I won't need these little pliers. At least for right now. Throw that in there. Okay, we're going to have to take the tank off. This little vacuum line, guess we do need the pliers after all. I'm going to try to carefully, ever so carefully, sneak that off of there. Now, sometimes you got to stretch the hose, a little vacuum line there, just a little bit. Just a little. Just go around. Boop. And she's off. Okay. Ain't no need to pull this thing out of there. It's fine like it is. Put the lid back on. No real need to have it off. This Predator sticker is just as high quality as you should expect. It's falling right off. Air cleaner and cover. Get that out of here. Okay. Well, this gas tank. These usually are bolted on in the stupidest way imaginable. I just got to figure out how. Come around this side here. Well, I'm going to say I figured it out. There's a bolt or two. Feels like just one right here. And there's a little bolt right here. I don't know. No, it doesn't go all the way through. That should be it. I believe that's an 8. Feels too small to be a 10, but it could be. Check this on it first. Well, yep, 8. All right, let's see if we can get this tank off of here. And it's going to cause new problems, too. What kind of new problems is it going to cause? Well, for starters, that fuel line goes under there in such a way, oh boy, that I may not be able to get it out without taking off this governor jump, which I don't want to take off. I find that the less you fool with the governor, the better it works. They're a fairly easy thing to adjust if you're starting from scratch, like if you've just overhauled the motor. Naturally, that has come out of there. But as a general rule, the factory kind of knew what they were doing when they set it up, usually. And you start second guessing them at your own peril. That's one. Now that back one is another story. I think I'll need a wrench for it. Let's see. Got an 8, I think. That's an 8. Now the back one is right under here. If in fact it's an 8, because there's no reason to believe it would be. Yeah, not even on it. Can't see it. And 8 is not fitting it. Surely it ain't a 9. Let's see here. Let's try it. It could be a 9. I mean, they might want you to buy the whole Chinese wrench set. No, she's a 10. Okay, let's take all the wrenches out. There's a 10. Where are you? Yep. All right, let's see here. That's the wrong way. That should be the right way. Yeah. Okay. That one's loose-ish. Nut with a flange. Washer? Nope. Okay. Let's see about getting that tank out of there. Here's hoping I got everything. Does it move? Nope. Huh. Nope, she's locked down. All right. I took out the 2 bolts I'm basically certain is holding it. But that don't mean that's what's holding it. Let me come around here and look. Let's see here. Okay, there's a second bolt. Or a second nut. I guess it helps if you actually go around the machine and look on the other side. I was just feeling around hoping. All right, one here. Wrong way. Towards me. All right. Second one off. Now we can hope that's everything. Okay. Now, what do we got up front? Anything else holding it? I gotta tell you, I don't see anything. Let's see if I pry on it, what happens. It ain't moving. All right. Well, this baby's stuck. That had to be it, though. What's left to hold it? Huh. I'm sure. Well, okay, I'm not sure. I strongly suspect. Let me move you way out of the way. No. 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 No, no. Huh. Where is it? What would it be? Could it be this? Let's see how it would be, but I think it is. And it's in the worst place imaginable. Yep, okay. So the 2 in the back were pretty obvious. This one I pulled out over here. This, let me get you aimed where I think it goes. Okay, this one right back here, that just holds the wind cover on. I'll put it back on here in a second. This, I think, is it, because this bolt don't appear to do anything else. It almost has to go into the tank. Somehow, some tab sticking out of the tank, something. If I can get at it. It's in a stupid place. I could almost get a ratchet in there. Emphasis there on almost, since if I actually could get a ratchet in there without getting bound up in all this stuff, Probably how I'd be doing it. Can't get my fingers in there. Be honest about it. That's it though, because that's got her loosened up. All right. Maybe a 1/4 inch. Do I have one? In the 8 flavor. That's a 7 flavor. It's not exactly what I'm hunting. It's an 8 flavor. Let's see if that's any better. Not really, because if I had a ratchet, I couldn't get it in there. I was just hoping I could get a hold of it. Come on. That's ridiculous. Well, the hell with that. Take that back out. Put it back up. And go back to the hard way. One thread at a time for a month. Oh, come on. Work with me here. It's retarded. Get out of my way. Move. Really? This has to come out by hand. It turns so easy. It's not bound on nothing. So what seems to be holding me up here? I don't know. This is ridiculous. A really long, skinny nut driver. Ah, there it went. Long old bolt. Well, where do you think you're going now, Fuel? You wouldn't come out a minute ago. Why are you coming out now? Which way do I got to lean you? This. Oh, this is going to be great. There's like a sleeve here that I'm sure is there to keep you from kinking up the hose, but now it's left behind. There wasn't a thing I could do about that. All right, I'm just going to stand this up over here where it won't leak. I'll see what I can do about that stupid. Where'd it go? Well, there was. Here it is. Where do you think you're going? This stupid thing. All right. Well, fuel tank's off. This spring, I don't know if you can see it. Let me move this sad can of rotten gas out of the way. So this spring, right here, is supposed to go in this hole. There's a hole there. And then when the carburetor goes on, it goes over here by where this linkage goes. So we got a new gasket on. Let's get that carburetor. This is our new carburetor. It's going to go there. And remember, the opposite of what we did before. We're turning this to the right as far as it'll go. Picking up that linkage. Dropping that right on in there. And we got this wire here. Spring. There's a little hole there just for it. What we got to do is turn this around so that that spring is where we want it, and then it goes in that little hole like that. That's how it should have been. Just like that. And you push that baby right on up there. And then we put our air cleaner on, blah, 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 but not until we do this fuel line. So, see if we can figure out why this gas wasn't coming out of there. Is there a little filter in here that's clogged, or what? That's going to be my guess. Take this out. Well, I don't even see where that... There it is. No, that's really not that bad. Not too sure why it wasn't coming out. All right. Let me bring this back around here. I'm going to put the lid on. That doesn't feel right. Hat feels a lot worse. Come on, don't fight me. Come on, be like a Bethesda game. It just works. Okay. Move this back some more. All right, we got our fuel tank. I am all over that fuel. And it is like barely coming out. So yeah, there's a clog here somewhere. That unscrews, sort of. I say that, it unscrews, but I can't tell you how. I'll take that cap back off. And I say that because I don't know how you're supposed to hold the inside. There's a little filter in there. Like a strainer, I guess, down inside the tank here. You see where this fuel nozzle is. There's plastic right there. On the inside where you can't see is a little, like a soda straw sticking up with fine screen on it. It's supposed to filter out the chunks bigger than a quarter. Well, we're going to have to work on that. I'll bring you back here in a minute. All right. I have cleaned the tank. And by cleaned the tank, I mean there was a little bit of crud in there. And basically I shoved a t-shirt down in there and took a screwdriver and wiped it around until I picked up the crud. And I don't see any now. So I'm going to call that a win. We're going to have to put this, this line I thought was hard as a rock, but it was actually that sleeve. This line is pretty soft, so we're going to reuse it. Never change something that works. If it works, don't mess with it. All right. There's a little rubber goes back on here. And this just threads into the tank. It's kind of thick there. They've tapped some threads into it. Basically, all we're going to do is screw that right back in here like so. But I have to have a wrench for that. So let's see here. That what I'm looking for? That's what I'm looking for. If I can get my hands down here before it falls on his face. Okay. Basically what we're going to do is screw this back in, but get that rubber back on there all the way. Got to have your rubber on all the way. Bad things will happen if you don't. It might fall off. Okay. That's good. That threaded back in there. Good luck. It didn't come out very easy. Which, I don't think they used their very best tool set to tap this. I can't imagine why they would. For something they're selling for $100. These engines, when they're on sale, they have big sales and small sales at Harbor Freight. When these are on sale, they run around $100. But you gotta tell you, for a small engine that's reasonably dependable, that's not bad. Squeaky as it might be when you're tightening this little. It's not tight. I mean, I'm not expending a lot of effort, as you can see. Putting this in, it just, I don't know, the plastic is expanded from the gasoline probably. Sitting there swimming in gasoline for years. Because as it goes in, it'll get less squeaky. Or at least on the way out, it was easy, and then it got harder and harder as I took it out. And their threads aren't cross-threaded, so. And the plastic's all discolored there, so I'm guessing this plastic can't survive gasoline forever. Oh, and that screen is fine. And the line is clear. I checked that. So I think what was going on is that chunk of crud, that's got to be tight enough. Yeah, I don't want to twist it off. Once it stops, and it did, we're going to call that good. No sense breaking it. Okay. So we got this fuel line, which arguably should go first. This thing over here. All right. Let me get you where you can kind of see. Maybe. That seems about right. There's a. I'll put that lid on. It's going to drive me crazy if I don't. It's sliding all over the place. Yeah, these don't fit right. That's good enough. They don't have to be tight. So this goes What do we got here? Is this turn? If it doesn't turn, why is it in the wrong place? Huh. Let's keep turning. Let's try a little more. That's about right. Okay. So this fits through under here somehow. Some very poor design. Oh, how are you supposed to get that from point A to point B? I'm getting all screwed up on point C. All right, get in there. Not up there. Oh, my Lord. Why you got to be that way? Okay, we're going to have a struggle. It's not like I can stick my pinky in it and encourage it. All right. Turn it just a little more. Maybe that's what it needs. Now it's really going to be pointing the wrong way, huh? Nope, there it goes. Okay. There she is. And they got this piece of junk. It's hard as a carp for sure. But it really wants to be on there. Not the best planned raid. All right. Yeah. I'm not even sure how I got that off in the first place. I know if I put this on, I'm never getting it out of there. Probably went this way. And if I get this on here, pack that thing in this hole. All right. See, now here's my problem. Now that's on there. Threading this through here just became a lot harder, I think. Yeah. Yeah, that's going to work. Lovely. Okay. Now if I can thread this through here, that's the $1,000,000 question. How do I get past that? Okay. And get that where it goes. That looks okay. This is supposed to plug in. There's no goop in it, right? No. That's supposed to plug in there. But let me get that clamp. I dropped that in this box here. Clampy clamp, where are you? There you are. All right. Now, put that clampy clamp back on here. Yeah, squeeze that with your fingers, my butt. Those are the ones that are specifically made to be easy to squeeze with your fingers. Of course, that isn't how it turns out, but hey, that was a goal. They had something in mind when they invented that, and it just didn't work out. There. Now, fuel line needs to go a lot farther. Have to move the clampy clamp a little bit. So I got to run at it. Get on there. All the way. The whole thing. There she goes. Now, get the clampy clamp and slide him all the way. Good luck. Down to pass that lump. Right, just, whoa, right there. Feel snug. It's in. This is where it belongs, I'm pretty sure. Okay. Put the tank back on. Well, that felt like it was actually threading in. I need about a 8. And I can't use my ratcheting side. That makes me sad. Really wanted to use the ratcheting side. There's got to be a way. Here's an extension. Get that out of there. Right. Man, is that ever stuck. It's the only thing I don't like about this toolbox. I like that the parts snap in there. I mean, so you don't lose them. But I also dislike the fact that you got to have a crowbar to get them loose. Now, there's an 8. Is that her? That's her. And I have a ratchet. Maybe if I pull the spark plug, it's right in my way. Maybe if I pull the actual spark plug out of the engine. See, now we're getting into a lot more work than this should have required. Oh, and there's junk. Pliers. It's tree bark or something there. I don't want dropping in. Yeah, it's good now. Just one tree bark. Okay, let's take this plug out. That gives us a little more room to work. Taking out the plug takes for a year. Come on. Come on. Today. All right. Can't really see what you see, but I'm going to say that's pretty close. Now we're doing this the hard way. Now we're putting an adaptator on there. Now we're getting another extension. Is this not ridiculous? But I can get to it now. Okay, we're not tightening that super tight yet. So I got 2 more to put in the back. And I kind of wish I had put that other one in while I had it out. Oh well. Let's see, what size were you? Something crazy? No, it's an 8. This one? Yeah. Let's see if I can get this back in there. I give it 10% chance. Yeah, feels right. I'll tell you in a second. Yep. Okay, that's the one I took out. Whoops, shouldn't have took out. Okay, that one's in. That just holds the guard on there. What would you call that? The ductwork for the air. Shroud. It's called a shroud. Took me a minute to pull that out of my hat. All right. 8mm, please. Yes. And these are 8s, I hope. No, they're 10, of course. Throw that. That's a 9. Not what I want. Now, where'd that 10 go? Leave it to me. I just had it. So naturally, I don't have it no more. There she is. All right, we gotta put the bolts in the tank back here. They should be sticking through. They are. If engine stops or will not start, check oil level. How about if engine starts with a sudden thud? Should have already checked oil level, huh? Those oil sensors are not 100%. I believe that they're designed to err on the side of caution, which means what you might be doing is not checking the oil, but checking the sensor, because they have a tendency to quit. But when they quit when you still got oil. When they fail, that is to say, when they no longer perform their designed function, your engine quits running. You find out you ain't got spark. And you're going through all this junk, and you're like, oh, maybe I better check the oil like the sticker says, and you find you got oil. Now what? Well, there's a sensor inside. It's basically like a little float, kind of like what's on a sump pump if you ever had a pump in your basement suck the water out. When the oil gets low enough, turns off the engine, or it's supposed to. And then there's this little mystery box. I don't know what's in it. It's kind of a mystery, but whatever it is, it plugs into that. And a lot of times it's that little mystery box that quits. I believe what that is a thing that keeps it from just turning your spark off and on when you're bouncing it around. Because if you had this in like a go-kart and you're hopping and bouncing and knocking it sideways and whatnot else, and the oil level is just all over the place, would be turning your spark off left and right. So I think that thing is like a delay. Maybe it's like a capacitor or something, I don't know, but it gives it a little bit to be sure you're actually low on oil before it turns you off. So that, you know, on your next bounce, when it puts the oil back where it's supposed to be and everything's fine, it's like, oh yeah, false alarm, it's okay, we didn't turn off. Pretty sure that's what that does. That's what it acts like it does. Because I know if you eliminate that from the system and try to just use it without it, it'll work unless you're moving. You bounce it around. Why are you stuck? Seriously. Wow. There's no rubber in this one. You know, normally there's a little rubber down in there that kind of protects the plug. Huh. Well, it didn't want to let go. All right, we'll poke that plug wire back on. We got the fuel line on. We need the air cleaner, such as it is. That's laying over here. That's going to be fun. I got hoses and more hoses. And what is that coming out of there? Water? What is that? Is it water? Huh, maybe oil. All right. So, we got this little metal gasket thing. Honestly, it doesn't make a whole lot of difference. It goes on here. I think it's more a spacer than anything. It would appear to line up that way. There's a little hole. I don't know what you can see. Let me de-elevate you a little bit. All right, let's this gas can out of here. Okay, so there's a little hole right here in the carburetor. Well, it's actually a bigger hole than this one. But that one, the little hole, the tiny one right there, goes in this little notch. And then this big notch up here, that's a big hole. Pretty simple. All right, now this. Good luck. How was that routed? Just right up there across everything, huh? Okay, so this goes here. This goes under here. Then this line gets stabbed in this hole. Meanwhile, I'm fighting this thing. And I got the choke, the on-off valve. Something don't feel right. Something don't feel right. What's going on here? Is it this thing here? Yeah. All right, get that hose and stick it in the hole. Like hoses go, get in there. Seriously. Why you gotta be that way? Just get in the hole. Get in. Oh boy, spark plug. Again, out of my way. Yeah, because that's not really working for me. Get in there. Oh my gosh. All right, it's going now. Yeah, it's in there. Okay. Spark plug back for the 100th time. Plugged in good. This little piece of junk goes up here. Okay. That's all good. Now I got some bolts here. Nuts. One nut goes there. And one nut goes there. Now, two things. It's important for this to be tight. It's important for it not to be too tight. That's 2 things. Maybe 3. We're going to go with 2 for now. I'd say that's a 10. I'd say that socket I just grabbed is an 11, so that's not helpful. Yeah, it's 10. And get me a ratchet. Okay, get you in position here. So we're just going to run this down back and forth a little. Not getting too crazy on either side. Just giving it a little. I'm starting to feel snug pretty good. You see how I'm really choked up on this ratchet. I don't know if you can see that or not, but I'm way up on this ratchet. That gives me very little leverage. The idea being very little leverage. Okay, this is starting to feel tight enough. It's like having a really short-handled ratchet. That was on purpose. Yeah, that should be good and tight. And should be good and sealed. Now we're going to get the world's worst air cleaner reassembled. That's what it's got for an air cleaner. I mean, I guess it works. I guess it was breathing through it before. Should still be breathing through it, but it's kind of cheap is the word I was looking for. I kind of hate to use that word. Economical, inexpensive. No, this is just cheap. It's funny, too, because there's 2 of these Predators. There's this cheap one. That's what this is. Tell by the stamped steel valve cover here. And then there's one they call the Hemi, which is basically supposed to be the exact same engine, but I tell you it ain't. That's on. Okay. Well, we're going to have to put gas in it, and we're going to have to put oil in it. And I don't think I got any gas. This gas is red. I don't know what that is. Probably some kind of stabilizer or something. But the gas that I took out of this machine looks like transmission fluid. It's it. And what's even funnier is the engine was running on it, kind of, but of course the carburetor got screwed up too. Not going to blame the redness of the gas, so I believe that was just old age and having the gas left on. I believe I got the gas turned off now. Yes. On would be that way. It doesn't matter. There's nothing in it. Here's a choke. It appears to be doing what it's supposed to. So I'm just going to let that alone for now. I'm going to put some oil in it, put some gas in it, and then we're going to try it. All right, for our next trick, we got to put some oil in this thing. Hope this is the partially empty one. Yeah, okay. So these are pretty simple. All of these small engines that have the oil filler this low, the little, usually there's a dipstick. This one doesn't seem to have one, at least not on this side. But when they're this low in the block and set at an angle like this, that usually means that you fill it up right until it's at the top thread here, or just starting to come out. That's full. It's really simple. Some of them, if they have a dipstick, go buy the dipstick. But with this, there's just one problem, and that is your funnel is in the way. It's a little hard to see, so you got to pull the funnel out just a smidge before you start easing oil into it. Then you can kind of watch. And it's a slow process, let me tell you. As you have to kind of put some in and look, and put some in and look. We're nowhere near full. But it doesn't take that much. A little under a quart, I think. Problem is, with this tiny little funnel, you have to go incredibly slow. And we got a long way to go. The funnel gets full, the funnel goes empty. Over and over. We're not there yet. See if I even see any oil. No, not yet. It's gonna take more. Getting closer. Give it just a touch more. See if it runs out. I don't think we're there yet. Oh, we're there now. Let's get the cork in that. Yeah, there's a little oil there, but... And you'd think it's over full, what with it running out, but it's not by more than an ounce. If that. Won't be enough to matter. Try to mop up our oil slick here. Looks like the Exxon Valdez just wrecked. Alright. Now, the only thing left for us to do is put some gas in this thing and then get it running. Some of the garbage off of this. Okay. I was looking too. This carburetor has a... Oh, there it is. I was going to say, this carburetor has an, I believe it's an oxygen screw. Sometimes it's an idle gas screw. Sometimes it's an idle air screw. This is an idle air screw. Just about sure of it. I think. I didn't back it out to look. You can tell the pointy ones, the ones that come to a sharp point, that's gas. If it's kind of a blunt on the end, right there's the screw. But if it's kind of blunt on the end, that's an air one. I guess because the changing the amount of idle air is a less delicate thing. Changing the amount of gas, on the other hand, you want to be pretty precise with. Okay, so what is left? Well, you take this oil drain pan out from under this thing. Oh. Now, just to give you an idea, when I drained the oil out of this, it was super overfull. This is what's left in the bucket. That little trickle. Now, you might be asking yourself, well, what, did it leak all out everywhere? Nope, it did not. It was full of gasoline. That oil was mostly gasoline from the carburetor jamming up. Okay, let's put some gas in this. Just happened to have a nice full can, too. Whoa, yeah, all over it. But you want to try to pour as much all over the engine as you can. It's the only downside with this giant 5-gallon jug. A little tough to handle. Fine for filling up a car, maybe a tractor. A bit much for these small engine contraptions. That's about half a tank. With a quarter tank all over the outside. Let me get that rag. I ain't gonna get much of it mopped up. I already know that. It's everywhere. Look how clean that tank looks now, though. It's like a new one. There's a little bit drip there. Okay, and just around the edges here. Okay. That's hardly all of it, but it's most of it. All right, now we're going to start it. Then we're going to see just how messed up it is. Let me put the legs down here. Get you back in the air. Because what we're going to do now is once it's running, which it should run right, I'm going to test that ram. See if we can get it to do what they said it was doing. It is full now of hydraulic fluid. It was a little low. But I have a hunch it's still going to be messed up. Let me get you where you can see everything. All right. Let's see. We're going to turn the gas on. That's this one. Gas is on. Turn the choke on. That's the choke. And where's that throttle set? That should be low. I am an on. Nope. There's your problem. Take that choke off. It ain't running quite right. And I'll tell you what I think it's lean. I don't know why it would be, but I believe it is. Definitely seems to be running lean. Very strange. Brand new carburetor. Well, I need a screwdriver. I'm going to go get one and bring it back. All right, I'm going to check this screw. I don't know where it's at. Just run it in all the way until it stops. Gently. That's it. Half, 1, 1.5. I'll try 1.5. See what that does. And it's still on. This gas valve should be working fine. The choke, I'll turn it on just a little, about half. Okay, a lot more. Huh, that's funny. What do you reckon's going on here? Now, why that thing would run lean, that lean, can't be the air cleaner. That'd make it rich, if anything. It's tight. Hose all plugged in. What do you reckon? I would assume it's got the right jet since the carburetor's for this engine. Very strange. Let me poke around a little bit and I'll see what I come up with. Alright, well, I don't know if you can hear me, but I got it running now. And what I'm going to do here is run this thing through several cycles now that I have fluid in it. And the idea is to make sure there's no air. Make sure air isn't the problem. So far, so good. That's not going to work. Have to turn it around. Got to have something flat for it to push on. Seems to be working a lot better now. I thought the pump was shot. I don't know now. Let's have a look at that fluid. Let's see what that fluid looks like. It doesn't look like foam. It's not fizzing up. Huh. I believe she's okay. Well, this was kind of a disappointment. I really thought that pump was done because it just wouldn't hardly budge. But I believe what it was is it was sucking air. I think it was too low on fluid. I dumped an unbelievable amount of fluid. Unbelievable. I probably dumped a couple gallons in it. I don't know how much was in that jug he brought over here, but I dumped almost the whole thing in, and I'm still not full enough. But I believe her issues are resolved. So we're just going to call it there. It seems to work. I wish I had some tougher wood. That wood did not have the guts to resist me much, and I don't have anything that would. That's the piece he brought me. And I mean, the only thing I could do is turn a piece sideways and try to cut it in half. But I just don't at the moment believe that thing's got any problems. Before it wouldn't, it just hiccuped and hitched and jumped all the way down, all the way back. I'm sure that was air. The pump was cavitating. But now that it's had enough fluid in it for a while, I guess it's soaked down in the pump somehow, or I did run it back and forth several times for it. It just, started choking to death in its own juices when the carburetor's float stuck. But I guess I got the air out of it. I believe that's all she is. Okay then, folks. This was the easiest one ever. I was kind of hoping I was going to change that pump. All right, guys. Thanks for watching. I appreciate you. Like and subscribe if you like the video. And we'll get you some more, hopefully more interesting ones than this. This thing was boring.